everyone, it's Anastasia from Australian Business Newbies blog. How's everyone going? As you know, Australian Newbies blog is sharing and voicing the stories of owners across Australia. Today I have absolutely amazing guest, Paul Robinson from Vinetrekker, and I do hope that you're going to really enjoy our interview. Thank you. Look, my first question is, how are your last 6 months? How are you coping with the COVID-19 situation?
Pretty tough. We didn't do anything for 8 months, so I think we stopped running tours in March, and resumed in November. And so for 8 months we did nothing, and we knew pretty early on that was going to be the case. And it was interesting for the first few weeks. It was like a bit of a holiday, and then it was this is a bad habit to get into. I've got to get into a routine of getting into the office, sitting in front of the computer, and getting into a format and a routine, and not wasting time. So there was opportunities to, look at the website, attend webinars. There was industry things going on as well. Went to a virtual trade show with agents from North America. So the time was used productively, I think, and hopefully, we'll come out of it okay when things start to return to normal.
Like, I know that obviously you are, according to TripAdvisor, you are number one in Australia and New Zealand. Do you think that this situation actually affected you that badly that you can maintain the status of number one?
Oh, look, good question. Quite possibly, it might, but then my competition haven't been operating either, so we're all in the same boat.
That's a good point.
The critical thing for me is that we get touring again. The sooner we can get touring again, the sooner we can get people on board, the sooner we can get reviews from people, and we can start that machine happening again. So once that can start ticking over, then hopefully we can maintain that number one position. So
that sounds great to me. So obviously all this time you used to sort of recalibrate and establish some new opportunities for your business. I know that like with social media, for example, did you create any new strategies for social media for Vinetrekker for 2021 as well?
Well, one of the benefits of doing some Zoom webinars was that I listened to a webinar from some social media people, and was interested enough in that to follow them up and speak to them about a program and a campaign. So we're in the midst of doing that at the moment. So that's been a month in the making. Facebook advertising and Google My Business and some other things I'm still coming to terms with. But that's an investment that I'm hoping is going to provide some returns. We'll see how that all turns out. But
it's absolutely incredible because you've been in the business more than 30 years, right? Like, you've been for a long time, and I would really love to know, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know too, what actually drew you to tourism in the first place? Why did you start your own company?
Well,
Wine tour company.
I was very fortunate. I'd travelled around Australia with a friend of mine, and we'd taken a year off work and travelled around Australia. And I got back from that and was interested in the travel industry. And I applied for different jobs in travel agencies and travel companies, and wasn't successful because I didn't have the experience. So eventually I found a job with a company that was running a weekend wine train tour from Melbourne up to Rutherglen, and it was a tour that was called the Rutherglen Red, and the trip went to Rutherglen, which is in the northeast of Victoria, and used an old red train to take people up. So I started working with that company in sales, and I increasingly got interested in wine. So I saw tourism and wine up close, and worked for the company for about 5 years, I suppose. And then the owner of the company sold the business, and myself and another employee purchased the business from him. We then had not a great relationship. We that relationship ended, really, I suppose. The other person left, and I assumed the business on my own. And so, but then that was a really tough few years, because I still had to work out what the business was doing. The model that had worked previously wasn't working anymore, and I had to find another market and had to find a way to survive. So I went through this period of working out what I needed to do to survive, and managed to find a way through that. And then maybe 15 years ago or so, I had a conversation with myself. What are you going to do when you grow up? Type of thing. And thought, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to be everything to everybody? Do I want to offer tours to the Great Ocean Road, to the Phillip Island Penguins, to the Dandenong Ranges, to the city, to the wineries, or concentrate on something that you really a bit more passionate about and you know a little bit about? And I thought, well, I like wine, I understand it a little bit, and I think we can offer a pretty good tour. So let's maybe try and set up the best wine tour company in Melbourne, and let's see how far that goes. And that's where Vinetrekker was started.
So. Was it challenging to actually set up your own company like a Vinetrekker? And actually, I understand the name Vinetrekker, but why Vinetrekker? So you've changed W into V. Yes, you've done Vinetrekker. It's a bit of a sort of Italian, wine, like a vino, wine. It's got a bit of a European vibe here.
Maybe, yeah. Look, I haven't sort of gone into it in any great detail. A fellow that I was working with at the time, who was in advertising, came up with a name, and we thought, well, Vinetrekker doesn't really make probably too much sense, but trekking around the vineyards is people understand that. So Vinetrekker, I think, was a more comfortable fit. And then the little tagline that we came with it, find food and wine at a leisurely pace, was I think the clincher. That was a really nice little tagline. So so once I think we had that, it was a commitment to making sure that it was followed through. So you had to invest in a website, a good website. You had to invest in good brochures, and you had to be serious about it, and you had to stay with it for the long haul. You couldn't just give it 10 minutes and then go, well, if this isn't working, I'll go on to the next thing. So I had patience and a belief that it was going to work, so it developed nicely. Fortunately, at the time, we were doing other things. The business was doing other things as well. We were working with conference groups and convention groups. We were working with corporate groups as well. So there was other income coming in while Vinetrekker was building on the side. And then eventually we got to the point where Vinetrekker had grown so much that we stopped working in those other areas and focused 100% on Vinetrekker. And that's seemingly been a good strategy.
Yeah, I've got a question related to this one. So what was it probably is even good to know for younger entrepreneurs, what was the challenge? Because is it the way it was agreement with vineyards? Is it the chat with concierges? What was your challenge to actually start this business put this business out of the ground? What was the most challenging for you? To get the clients in, how to get the clients in. Did you have the time when you was thinking, it's not working, I just can't do it anymore? So
look, there's all of those sorts of things, and you've got because in your heart of hearts, you know you've got a good product.
You've got a good product,
and you've got customers that tell you you've got a good product, and you want to let more people know about it. So I had identified that concierges, for example, were a very important part of that link that I needed. But to get to them, you've got to play the waiting game. And so I went and met with them and gave them all my information and had a good hearing from them. And I thought, this will be terrific. The phones will start ringing. And they didn't. And then I had to meet with them in 6 months' time again and wait. And eventually your time comes where they ring you because their usual supplier isn't available and they need someone else, and they give you an opportunity, and then when you get that opportunity you deliver, and then very quickly the work started to come because they talk amongst each other and share that information with each other. So once I got into that space, then it worked really well, and it's still a very good space for me, and will hopefully when we resume. Also, recognising that TripAdvisor was a really good vehicle to promote. So, okay, understanding how that worked, and then basically getting the reviews out so that we could build our ranking up. So once those things fell into place, that was I had to be patient. I just had to wait for that to happen. And I suppose because I've been in tourism for long enough, I had the belief in it, I had the patience, and I was going to just take my time. I wasn't going to rush it, and just knew that eventually things would turn.
Work. Yeah, it's going to work.
Yeah. So
with the TripAdvisor, is it actually impact your bookings? Does it help you?
Oh.
Does it somehow? So what's happening with TripAdvisor? Because I think a lot of people don't know what actually TripAdvisor does. So does it help you?
Oh, massively.
As a platform? Because
Massively.
Obviously it's you are number one according to TripAdvisor in Australia and New Zealand. That's like huge. Yeah. So currently, do you feel that there are changes going on? Like because of the COVID situation as well with TripAdvisor, or?
Oh no, I don't think. I think it will continue, and it will continue to still be a relevant resource for people. I think it's incredibly important. It drives a lot of business to me. It has driven a lot of business to me, and particularly because pre-COVID, around 65% of my business was international. Yeah. So it's a big thing for internationals, and the North American market particularly have grown up with TripAdvisor effectively. So we caught onto it much later than they did. So for them, that's a really major thing for them to see, to check your credibility, to see how long you've been in business, to see the reviews, the number of good reviews that you've got, and also the fact that you take the time to respond to every review that's posted gets a response. We're very big on that we don't let a review pass without being responded to.
Okay.
Whether it's good or bad, we respond. So people, that says to people who are looking at a tour,
it's a genuine platform where you can actually see real reviews.
Yeah.
People can say whatever they it's not going to be taken off. The review is not going to be taken out.
No,
if it's a wrong review or
look. Well, you can't be inflammatory. You can't be slanderous.
Yep.
You can't be bigoted. But if someone's had a genuinely bad experience on your tour, they have the opportunity to let everybody know. And but you have the right to reply to that too. So if, for example, someone was malicious towards your business and wanted to hurt your business, they could post a negative review.
Oh yes, yep.
But I then have the reply. I have a competitor could do that.
Competitors could do that.
But I have the right to then reply to say, dear so and so, this review seems to be. We don't recognise this review. It's completely it doesn't connect with us. It's I think you've got the wrong company, and we can then complain to TripAdvisor, who can then investigate and pull the review down. So it's quite transparent, I think, and so I think I'm much happier to have it on my side than to be working against me, that's for sure.
Of course, yeah. Like I can see there's a pros and cons there, because sometimes people can write something about you and it has nothing to do with you, but you have to still respond to it and spend some energy and time.
Yep.
But I'm sure you manage it really well, because you've got those skills to respond to those responses and make sure that people understand that you're serious and it's nothing to do with you.
No, that's right. And I think at the end of the day too, that if you're providing good product to your customers, you're not going to get a negative review. You're not going to get anybody that's going to be angry with you. If you treat people with respect, and this is the thing that's got me through business, you treat people respectfully, people then respond to you in a favourable way. You treat people badly, and people will then have an axe to grind and say, right, how can I hurt this person? How can I upset him?
How can I just upset? Yeah, that's right.
So don't give them that opportunity.
Yep, absolutely. So basically you mentioned that your clientele is Northern America. Yeah, so because the border's shut right now, what's the plan? What's going to be the recovery plan for 2021? How you just if you put it in the dot points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how would you put it?
Look, we're having to, without a doubt, the North American market is and the European market is been smashed, and we're not going to see them come back in any strong numbers until the latter half of next year, maybe even early 22. So, fortunately, 35% of my business was domestic, so I've got that's percentage to work on. I've got a base to work on. So in the short term, it's going to be the Melbourne market, the Victorian market, and then progressively as the interstate borders have now opened up, we're going to see more of them coming into Melbourne with confidence, and so we'll be hoping to get more of them interested. And then the New Zealand bubble.
Oh yes, yep.
In March, April.
Yep.
So that will start as well. And then hopefully we'll see some of the Asia Pacific countries
coming in.
Start to... and then... so look, the next 6 months are going to be challenging for sure. But my expectations are quite low. We're not going to be back to where we were pre-COVID. So we just have to accept what it is. There's nothing we can do to change it. So we've just got to try and... work with the market that we've got, a smaller market, and again we've got challenges too because we're the most expensive wine tour product in Melbourne. So people looking for a budget day out are not going to come and ring us and travel with us. So, but that's fine. So we'll just wait and we'll get the people we want to have travel with us.
So you're not going to readjust the price range just for the time being, or you would prefer to maintain the price range? Because talking about it, the product and services, I know that you do private tours, like private, luxurious. Tell me more about what do you actually offer to your customers? What's your top 3 products and services you offer?
Well, I think the thing that we really pride ourselves on is that we run with small numbers, so we're a small tour operator, small numbers. So it's much more personal. It's a caring environment. So our guides really connect with their guests too, and put their guests ahead of themselves. So it's not about the guide's day out; it's about the guest's day out. So they get first and foremost their treatment is first class, and we're looking to provide. We're not just providing an experience where people get a taxi service to the vineyards and get dropped at a cellar door, and the staff look after them, and then we drive them to the next for that to happen again. We're with the group all the day, so we're engaging with them and trying to educate them maybe a little bit on what wine they're going to taste, and become their friends if that's possible. But showing them the best of what we can for the day, including lovely food, so a really nice a la carte lunch, glass of wine, food products during the day, so it might be a little cheese platter or a food platter at another winery, but getting staff to engage with them as well, and maybe a winemaker, or if we're lucky enough we can come across an owner that might have time to speak with the group as well. So awesome. Trying to bring the contacts that we've made over the years to let people meet with them, and just to give them an experience that they exceeds their expectations, I suppose, and it's something that they remember for a long, long while to come. One thing that gives me a lot of satisfaction is when people come back to me, a year or two after they've last travelled with us and say, we did a trip with you, we had a fantastic time, we've got friends coming in to visit us, we'd like to do another one because you organise such a great day. And we have good repeat business. So we know that we can provide a good service, and we've got a sense of what makes up a very good day in terms of the inclusion. So you've got to provide good food, the wine's got to be good, the personality's got to be good, the vehicle's got to be comfortable, and you've got to be in tune with, and if it's a private tour, you've got to know when to engage and when not to engage. You don't want to smother the guests and basically be a blanket on them for the day where they think we can't get away from this person. You've just got to basically use your senses to know when to engage and when to basically just pull back to give them a little bit of time if they need some private time.
How many vineyards your clients can visit within the tour? How many? Because I know they award winners, vineyards. Because I know you want to make sure they visit quality vineyards, and this is the part of your program that's what it's all about. It's about that luxurious experience, really making sure that they had a great day. So how many vineyards your clients can visit at the tour?
If we're visiting the Yarra Valley, for example, we go, which is the best known of the wine regions out of Melbourne. Less, about an hour's drive out of the city. We would typically visit 5 vineyards for the day in our public tour, and so that's a mix of some well-known brands like De Bortoli's, which is the second largest family-owned wine company in Australia, Yearing Station, which is family-owned as well, and have a fabulous restaurant, and again with a site of the first vines in Victoria back in 1838. Domaine Chandon, which is an internationally acclaimed and well-known product owned by Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
And then a couple of smaller properties, Coldstream Hills and Medhurst. So people are getting a really good cross-section of big, well-known brands, a couple of unknown brands, big and small. And so you're getting Medhurst at one end, which is only 35 acres, family-owned, and then you're getting De Bortoli's, which is 600 acres and is the second largest family-owned wine company in Australia. So you're getting the two extremes, and we navigate those through pretty nicely. So the Mornington Peninsula with our public tour, we visit maybe 3 to 4 vineyards, as well as a chocolate producer. Vineyards down there include Yabby Lake, Stumpy Gully, Crittenden Estate, which is family-owned as well, Queerley, which is one of the quirkiest and most honest vineyards around, 10 minutes by tractor, Stonia, and Mornington Peninsula chocolates as well.
Oh, beautiful.
And then the Macedon Ranges, which is north of Melbourne, which is less known, doesn't have the profile that the Yarra Valley's got, but that's part of its charm because it's very quiet by comparison.
Kind of, sort of.
Sort of a bit untouched, you travel the back roads, the dirt roads, but vineyards up there that we love visiting include the Knights Granite Hills Vineyard at Bainton, which is dates back to 1971. Cobor Ridge, owned by a really committed couple, Alan and Nellie Cooper. Curly Flat, which is just one of the best producers, my favourite Pinot Noir producers in the country. Hanging Rock Vineyard as well, which is really good. And Lyons Will, which is a lovely little family-owned company too. So there's a lot of different experiences, and what we find too is that a lot of people, if they do private tours with us, they might start one year coming out to the Yarra Valley, and they have a very good experience there. And then the next time they come to Melbourne, they say to us, "Oh, look, we went to Yarra last year. Where can you take us this year?" And okay, we'll go to Mornington, and then the following year they come back. We then take them to Macedon, and then we've had other years where we've taken them that continues where we take them to the Goulburn Valley or in central Victoria, and then down to the Bellarine Peninsula, so we've developed those relationships with people. They have a good experience and they come back and they just call us and say, organise something for us again to another wine region. So we're just so lucky in Victoria because we're the most compact mainland state. So within an hour of leaving Melbourne, you're in a numerous wine country. You make a decision where you go today for this weekend. Yeah, so you're not spending all day driving.
No. And I just want to ask, because I think you have a level of expertise in wine. So before you actually created the list of vineyards you want to take people to and create those programs for people, did you actually go to every single, obviously maybe it's probably a bit of a silly question, but did you actually try wine in every single vineyard before you said, yes, I want to make sure that my clients come to this vineyard and try it? So did you have individual wine tasting in every single vineyard?
I've visited pretty much all of the vineyards.
All of them?
Maybe not tasted all of the wines,
not all.
but
step by step.
Bought a bottle here, bottle there,
one day,
and took the bottles home and tasted them.
Because you want to make sure it's quality, because you've got that. You understand the wine now. You understand the quality. Yeah.
Oh, look, I think when you're selling something, and you're asking people to spend over $200 on a day, as we are at the moment, you've got to know that you've got to have the confidence in your product. So if I'm charging you in excess of $200 and I take you to a very average winery, you're going to look at me and go, Paul, why are we here? Because these wines are awful. They're not really nice at all. And so why have you included this place on your entire itinerary? And that would be a very valid criticism. So I think I knew the quality of the places that I was including, and that we could work with them, and that they could provide guests with a good experience. And so we've never included something that we've never been to.
So you make sure it's all kind of quality. It's not kind of, it's quality before you say, those vineyards have to be on my list. I have to visit them. All right, so a lot of people, and probably including myself, before I came to Australia, I didn't have much knowledge about the wine. I know that there's a cool climate wine. Do you think it's very popular among your clients and among Australians, cool climate wine? And why it's so popular if it is?
Look, definitely. Look, this is something that I was probably unaware of when I started in tourism. I didn't understand. Wine to me was wine. And as I've gone on, I've understood a lot more about it. And I've personally appreciated cool climate wines a lot more than warmer climate wines. As I get older, my body likes the cooler climate wines because they're a little gentler. They're not as alcoholic as the wines that maybe come from South Australia or from the Hunter Valley or from Margaret River, where it's much hotter. And so you're getting richer, riper fruit, and that's you're getting heavier wines, more alcohol. So when you're young, you tend to love those wines. And you don't understand the lighter wines, you don't appreciate those. But as you get older, you tend to be gravitating more towards the lighter wines. I love the cool climate wines because they're more delicate. They've got lovely acid profile, so the wines can age beautifully, and they're great with food. And so we're educating people, I think, when they come to Melbourne, if they're not used to those sorts of wines. You plant the seed, and maybe they take that knowledge home with them, and start to appreciate what the cool climate wines are about. So, they're much better with food, I think, than the heavier wines.
All right, so 2 last questions for you. So basically, what are 5 points of difference compared to other businesses in this industry, compared to your competitors? So 5 points of difference. Just one.
Look, we operate with small numbers, so a minimum of 2 people.
2.
Really quality inclusion, so a quality a la carte.
3.
Much. Passionate guides.
Awesome.
That really care for their product and care for their customers.
4.
Excellent value for money. We're
Beautiful.
providing really good value.
And the 5.
Oh, geez.
We can keep it to 4.
5. There's probably something there. Well, look, I think the vehicles, we put a bit of money into our vehicles. And
Safety.
Safety and also comfort too.
Comfort too, beautiful.
So they're not luxurious vehicles, but they're much more comfortable than a lot of other vehicles on the roads.
All right, so I'm Anastasia Thomas. I want to book the tour with Vinetrekker. Where do I go and how to book it?
Our website would be the good starting point, Anastasia, vinetrekker.com.au, and there's a booking button there. You can book any of the tours on. You'll get instant confirmation. You can put your credit card details in. And if that's too difficult, you can email us or you can ring us, and we can make that transaction nice and simple for you.
And I think your potential clients, they always can ask you questions and maybe ask your opinion about which winery is the best and stuff like that, and you're happy to answer those questions.
Certainly, because again, at the end of the day, you want your guests to pick the best option, and so if they're, yes, exactly, so if they've got questions or they're uncertain about something, best to ask it in advance rather than
be surprised on the tour.
yeah, exactly. Or at the end of the day, say, oh, well, we didn't really like that because of da 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 da. You said, well, if we'd known about that in advance, we wouldn't have suggested this particular tour. We would have suggested, something else for you to consider. So,
and I think that's another point of difference for your business.
Yeah,
because obviously it's an individual approach to every single person and respect and understanding the needs and stuff like that. So that's another probably point number 6. All right. Thank you so much for being with us today. I wish you just only prosperity, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about Vinetrekker, and hopefully you'll maintain your status of the best in Australia and New Zealand industry. I'm sure of it. Have a great Christmas. Thank you for coming in and allocating some time for Anastasia for Australian Business Use BizBlog. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity, Anastasia, and I wish you all the best for Christmas too. And I hope equally your business does very well in 21, as I think most of us are all hoping that and expect that now 2021 is going to be a much better year than the year that we've encountered.
We do hope so.
But all the best for Christmas and the new year, and thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks
Good
for
luck.
having us. Vinetrekker it is.